What's up, everyone? Welcome back to this week's episode of the Backstage Journal podcast. If I sound a little slow, it's because I'm actually rolling a fader down right now on that intro track. Here, I'll prove it. Ready? Whoa. I got a new piece of gear I'm really excited about. And it's actually sponsored by Sweetwater. Even though this episode is not solely sponsored by Sweetwater, they were very cool and decided to, help out the podcast in providing me with one of these Rode Procasters. If anybody has seen that, maybe you have a podcast of your own or you've seen it. It's basically like, it's the perfect solution for podcasting. I've been really, really excited about this thing, and it works really well for live streaming. Essentially, it's just 4 channels. And you can have a USB input. You can Bluetooth your phone to it. It's awesome. And it has these like pads on here, like drum pads that you can assign different things to. So right now I've got my intro track assigned to that, and I can fade it up and down how I need, talk over it. And then when you're done, it just saves everything to an SD card. I promise this isn't a commercial. I am just genuinely stoked about this thing. It's made my podcasting workflow so much easier. And I think there's some other sounds preloaded on this on these pads here. Let's check it out. Hold on. Kill that. See what this does. Oh my god. Okay, that's annoying. That's enough. Anyways, welcome to this week's episode of the Backstage Journal podcast. If you're new here, this is a weekly podcast that I do. My name's Rhett, Shull, and I have a YouTube channel. I'm a guitarist. I play music. I write music. I make videos about playing and writing music. And now I make a podcast about talking to people about playing and writing music and everything that involves. So, yeah, welcome. If it's your first time here, be sure to subscribe. We're on Apple Music, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Play, or you can stream it on my website, rhettshull.com, under the podcast tab. And yeah, this is season 2. There's a whole other season, I think like 21 or 22 episodes before this one that we did last year. And there's some gems in there, man. We had some really good episodes. If you are new, I might recommend the Dennis Fano episode. I might recommend the ones with my wife, Tilly Shull. We've had some good times. And the 2 episodes I did with Noah Guthrie and Good Trouble, we actually podcasted from the van on the road, which was interesting to say the least. But those were actually 2 of my favorite episodes. Also, the one with Eric Zapata from Gary Clark Jr.'s band. A lot of cool stuff. And I've got a ton of really good guests lined up for this season as well. This week being no exception. We have the one and only Brett Papa, a.k.a. Papa Stash, on the episode this week. He is, I said this in the interview when we sat down and talked at his house in Nashville last week. I think he's one of the coolest guys on the internet. And if you've ever watched his videos, you'll get it. He's one of those people that you meet in life and you're just like, God, this guy's cool. I just want to hang out with this guy. He's positive. He's always in a good mood. He's laid back. He's funny, but he's really, really smart and really driven and has a really solid vision for the future and where he wants to go. And he's the type of person you want to have in your life. I think that's the best thing I can say about Brett Papa. Anyway, we'll get out to all that in the interview here in just a minute. A couple of quick things to plug. If you're listening to this when it's posted this Wednesday, I have 2 shows coming up this week with Noah Guthrie and Good Trouble. We're going to be in Charlotte, North Carolina this Friday, February 14th. That's Valentine's Day. So bring your Valentine out to the venue. Oh God, this is where I should actually have where we're going to be playing pulled up. Stand by. I actually have to look this up on my website because I can't remember where we're playing. I'll just talk and I can't multitask and look this up. Okay, Noah Guthrie, we're playing at Coyote Joe's in Charlotte on Friday the 14th. That's you can find tickets on my website under the shows tab, or you can find them on Noah's website, noahguthrie.com, or on the venue's website, Coyote Joe's. And then Saturday, February 15th, we're going to be in Greenville, South Carolina at the Blind Horse Saloon. Again, same deal. Tickets on my website, Noah's website, all that fun stuff. Last I heard, I think they were going pretty good. So you might want to drop or jump on those tickets now if you're planning on coming. It's going to be a full band show. We're playing some loud rock and roll Americana music. Gonna be playing a new amp. I've got the Novo Solus that I'm gonna bring, the single pickup Novo that just came out. It's unfortunately not mine to keep, although I'm trying to do everything in my power to keep that guitar because it's a ringer, but I don't think Dennis Fano is having it on that one. But I'll be playing it this weekend. So come out and see the guitar. And subsequently, you'll see the band play, and you'll see me play the guitar, which will hopefully be decent at best. Anyway, this episode is sponsored. We've got a really cool sponsor that I actually approached at the beginning of season 2, and that is DistroKid. They're going to sponsor a segment at the end of the episode, the original music submission, but I really like these guys. Basically, DistroKid is a service, a platform for uploading your original music to all of the streaming and online music consumption platforms like Spotify, Apple Music, Pandora. They handle the upload and distribution, and they also have services that handle all of the royalty splitting. So if you are splitting with a band or co-writer, they handle and track all that stuff for you, and you can change it at any time. They're really cool. They're a really good company. I like those guys a lot. I'm going to be using their services probably later this year whenever I get around to finally uploading some music of my own, producing and writing my own stuff. So anyway, yeah, thanks to DistroKid for sponsoring this episode. Now let's jump into this week's voicemail. This is something we do every week here. You can call the Google Voice number 470-222-5851 from anywhere in the world and leave a voicemail. And here is this week's submission.
Hey, Rhett. It's Levi from Midwest area. I was just calling, and I was wanting to know maybe if you could make a video kind of demonstrating everything you do with your Strymon pedals and your volume pedal. That would be great. It's really interesting. Thank you.
Levi, thanks for the voicemail, man. I kind of have made those videos. They're really old. You have to dig back on my channel like almost 2 years. But I've done a video about like everything. I think it's, oh god, I can't even remember what it's called now. I think it's everything you need to know about delay or 5 delay tricks, something like that. I did the same thing with reverb, and then I did one utilizing reverb and delay. But maybe I should do a follow-up. Because I have changed some things in how I'm utilizing specifically those pedals, but also just delay and reverb and modulation in general. I've found that with effects and the way you use effects and your tones, they tend to change over time as your tastes change and as you grow as a player. Maybe you get some other gear and you're using different guitars or different amps. The way I approach using effects changes, and that's why part of the reason I'm working on a tone course right now. Hopefully should be available by the end of March, but it's going to be pretty much a comprehensive video course on my approach to guitar tone, starting at the very basics of how guitars work, how amplifiers work, how speakers and speaker cabinets work, and going all the way through how I approach coming up with tones live and in the studio and guitar parts and all that kind of stuff. So that will be part of that course, but maybe I should do a video on the channel. I don't know. You guys let me know. Shoot me a message on Instagram at Rhett Shull, or comment on one of the videos or whatever saying, hey, you mentioned this in the podcast, or jump on the Discord server and message me there. Okay, awesome. Let that out of the way. Let me plug that one more time. Again, if you want to leave a voicemail for next week's episode, you can call the Google Voice number 470-222-5851. You know what I should do? I should actually make a little jingle or plug and assign it to one of these buttons. Maybe this button. Wow. I had no idea that was on there. What does this one do? Okay, that's enough. So I'll replace those sounds with something so I don't have to keep plugging this stuff. So, like I was saying earlier, this week's guest is the one and only Brett Papa. If you don't know Brett Papa, he is one of the OG guitar YouTube creators. It was like him and Marty Schwartz 11, 12 years ago now, I want to say, starting out on YouTube, making guitar lesson videos and playing videos. Brett now lives in Nashville, Tennessee, from California originally, and we talk about a lot of stuff in this episode. So without further ado, let's just jump into the interview with Brett Papa. Brett.
Yes, Rhett.
It's the Brett and Rhett show.
Yeah, that's right. It sounds nice, doesn't it? You said that the other day. I'm like, it's got a great ring to it.
It really does. Yeah, we were talking about that at NAMM at the pool hang. And there were some drinks that had been had.
Quite a few.
Quite a few. And
How'd you feel the next day?
Fine, actually.
Did you?
I've learned recently that if I'm going to drink, I need to double whatever alcohol intake I've had with water, and I'll be fine.
That is the key. And did you escape anthrax? I know your wife got it.
Yeah. Well, she lost her voice before NAMM.
Okay.
So I don't know if that was technically anthrax or not.
Dude, everybody got it. Corey, Rob, the whole clan just came. Corey came over the other day like nose running.
Did you get it?
Barely. So there's a place, my secret weapon, there's a place in where I used to live called the hydration room. And you can get like killer IV bags of like vitamin C. And like you go and you sit in this super cush chair and they'd like IV you with like massive doses of vitamin C and glutathione. And it's the anthrax killer.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know that was a thing.
It is a thing.
So you literally just go and you sit and they plug you up to an IV.
Yep.
And you just...
It's a big old bag of awesome just right into your arm.
So our strategy was twofold. And for those of you who don't know, anthrax is the name for whatever bug that everyone gets after
it's like
NAMM.
the NAMM flu or something.
And it is like a flu. It's like a gnarly cold that just spreads through... Because
wildfire.
You're shaking people's hands all day. You're like picking up guitars and gear.
And it's so loud that you have to be a quarter of an inch next to somebody's face.
Yeah.
And you just end up needing like a spit shield anyways. And then it's just like direct transmission.
Yeah. So our strategy was twofold. We got those little airborne chewable things. And I'd take like 3 of those a day. Which is probably like 3,000 milligrams of vitamin C.
Sure.
And then washing our hands like crazy people.
Yeah, you have to.
Like, and the hand sanitizer. I mean, our hands were literally raw by the end of it. You're just constantly washing.
I got
hands.
something I'll give you next time.
What?
It's like a gel that. So you know what colloidal silver is?
No.
It's hospitals use it now. They've found that it's for a lot of the bacteria they can't kill. There's a stuff called colloidal silver, and they'll wipe the floors with it and stuff. And it's gnarly. It like goes through and it just freaking destroys viruses and all this other stuff. But they make a gel that you can put on your hands, and it literally coats your hands, and it kills anything when you touch it. So you're not having to use the antibacterial stuff, and it doesn't like make your skin raw or anything. So it's like
that's interesting. So my mom's a nurse.
Yeah.
And she always told me, because I've been doing a lot of traveling and flying recently.
Yeah.
And planes are the worst. That's where I always get sick.
Incubator.
Yeah, it's disgusting. But she told me to take like Vaseline.
Yep.
And an old nurse's trick that they used to do like way back in the day is you take Vaseline on a Q-tip and you roll it on the inside of your nostril right here, because viruses apparently are a heavy molecule or organism.
Stops them.
And they'll get stuck in the Vaseline and not make it up.
Yeah.
This is the greatest intro to any
is.
podcast interview I've ever done.
It's good stuff, man.
So Brett Papa.
Yes.
For those of you listening who might not be familiar with Brett, what do you do?
I don't know. My wife asks me the same thing all the time. I think people equate it to I sit in my house and make videos, but it's I guess what I do is I teach people how to play guitar, but I don't really know like theory and all that kind of stuff. So maybe I'm the street guide to guitar playing, making it simple.
I think I have a theory about you.
Okay.
And I started thinking about this at NAMM at the pool hang. I think you're the coolest guy on the internet.
Tell me more.
I'm serious. Like, you have the most laid back personality type. And you know, people in this YouTube world can be, myself included, can be pretty high strung and kind of wigged out about like analytics and staying on top of numbers and subscribers.
You do a good job faking it though. I don't pick that up.
Yeah, it's all fake. I'm constantly worried all the time. I live in a state of anxiety. But you are just the most laid back, chill guy ever. I've been watching your stuff about as long as Marty's channel, and we'll get into that, like how you guys got started and everything. But Papa Stash, back when you had the mustache.
Marty gave me that name.
I know. That's what I heard. That's what he told me.
Yeah, he is the man.
I want to hear that story.
Okay.
But yeah, you are you're a guitar instructor. You create video courses. You used to build these glorious amplifiers.
I did.
It's a divided by 13
Yes,
for those of you
and
in the
they
podcast
are,
world.
I mean, I just had to take a breath because they are. I remember I did not care about amps and didn't know anything about amps before I started working there, and I'm like, they really are a thing. Because like you would just see session guy and touring guy after touring guy, and he's never given an amp to anybody.
Yeah.
Right. So everybody's always bought their amp, and not much of a discount at that. But like, you just hear them. You drop them off at a session or the producer, and they're like, "There's just something about these amps that's different."
Yeah,
and it's true.
I just bought another one. I got an RSA.
They're like a
23.
tattoo.
Yeah, they really are, dude. That's the best way to describe it. FT or divided by 13s are like tattoos. You get one, and then it's.
I think it's if you're gonna have the quad, it would be a 37, 23, 31, and a 915.
Okay, so you used to work there, like physically helping Fred build the amps. And when was that? Like,
I think I started. Man, when did I start? Like 2003.
Okay.
Right when he really started to take off, and I remember it. I had my buddy Scott, who works there still, had told me about him, and I had an amp. And my first experience with him was not a pleasant experience. I brought in like a crate, and he's like, "Dude, why am I even looking at this thing?"
Yeah, right.
Because he was too big. He literally had just made, and he was putting him in his car, the first amp for Rusty Anderson, which was the very first amp he ever did.
Right. And that's where the RSA name comes
right.
from.
But it was an FTR.
Yep.
That was the first one that he ever did. And he was literally putting him into the car to go to McCartney's rehearsal.
Right.
And that's when he got there, and like the guy's like, "Yeah, it sounds good. Do you have anything else?" And then like it was like that whole transition of he had to build 3 amps in like a day.
Yeah.
And then it was the RSA 31 was the first one, which was like a Vox kind of a thing. And the guy's like, "Yep, that's it. I need 3 more. Tomorrow we're leaving."
Right.
Like, ah! So I had literally like walked into that,
Yeah.
And so about 8 or 9 months later, he started building more amps, and I'd heard he did one like a Marshall, and so it was his first 100 watt, and then through miscommunication, I told him and he forgot. I wanted an effects loop in it, so I brought it back up and like had another go around with him. But then I just was like, you know what? I'm gonna chill. There's something about this direct approach. I like this guy. He's cool. So we just ended up chatting. I'm like, man, if you ever need help, I don't know anything about this field at all. I've never soldered a thing in my life, but I'm willing to learn, and like I'm not into what I'm doing. I think I was doing like finished carpentry or something.
Yeah.
And he's like, okay. And then I didn't hear from him for months. And then like out of the blue one morning, "Hey man, why don't you come in and start?" And then it was just nose to the grindstone for
years. And you learned how to build amplifiers from zero.
From zero. Never soldered a thing in my life. And I think I've built, I'm going to say probably like 2,500 of them.
Oh my God, dude.
Yeah. I used to have the pots, they have like a little washer on them. And I used to throw the washers into this bin. And I remember at one point, and they were big, bins, they were overflowing with just, each pot had 2 washers on it. So every time I'd do one, I'd throw one washer into the thing, and they just started overflowing. And at that point, I'm like, I've had to have built a couple thousand of these things.
Oh my God. Yeah, they really are the divided by 13 stuff. I think, and I talk about this, or I think about this a lot, right? Like, what's the gear today that in 25 years, 30 years, people are really going to be looking for? Yep. And I think divided by 13 is one of those things. I
do too. And like, especially if you're a touring guy like a 37, there's just something about when they're mic'd up, they cut through, and they just have a sound that it's just like, wow, I've never done anything like that before.
And they're loud.
They're so freaking loud. Well, I mean, and this was a long, so that this is the BTR 23, and this was years of me working there, because he was like anti-master, never like, no, it's not going to happen. And so my first amp after that 100 watt was a 23, because a guy named, what was his name, Frank Syme, I think, or something like that. Amazing guitar player, came in, and he plays with like Henley and all these big, he's a road guy, and came in with a telly and plugged into the 23 and just freaking dimed the thing. And I was like, that's the best amp I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah.
Like, I have to own one of these.
Yeah.
And so, but like you said, there is no quiet. Like even one is like, wow, that's getting you kicked out.
Well, and they don't necessarily get louder. The more you turn them up, they just get dirtier. Like that's how my FTR is. Yeah. People, Jesse or Noah or any gig I've played that amp on, everyone's like, can you turn it down? And I'd literally just say, no. I can't. I'd love to.
That's my sound.
Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll put this plexiglass shield in front of it.
Yeah.
And that'll be my volume control.
Well, luckily they can't, they do all sound pretty good with an aux. So
Yeah.
that's like a strategy I guess you can use. But long story short, I finally convinced him, short of abusing him, to put a master volume and put a little bit more gain. And so we basically, that's me and Scott's brainchild right there. And he's like, okay, fine. And then Brian Ray was in this weird, so Brian Ray used to use 915s,
Yep.
a pair of those, and Rusty had 231s. And then for some reason, Rusty tried the 915s and was like, these are amazing.
Right.
And Brian's like, well, dude, that's my thing.
Yeah.
And so we basically turned that into his thing.
Dude, I could talk about Divided by 13 stuff all day.
I know.
They're my favorite amps.
Fred's awesome too. It's like a second dad. He's
Yeah,
amazing.
Tilly and I went 2 days before NAMM, and I'm going to get him on the podcast.
Yeah.
I'm going to get him on my channel because I've looked. That's one of those things I've heard about his stuff for years, and then you look at the roster of players that use the stuff.
Yeah.
They're the real dudes.
Yeah.
That are playing the
Yep.
Divided by 13
and
stuff.
like I said, none of them are free.
No.
I can say this truthfully. There has only been one amp in the 7 years that I worked there that ever was broken.
Really?
One.
Wait, I want you to tell me that story, and then there's another story that I want you to tell.
It was a cap. A cap on one of the amps blew up, and that was the only. And we're talking like Rusty would come in all the time and be like 3 or 4 world tours with McCartney, like cranking the amps. Like Brad Whitford used to play his 37 on 8,
Yeah.
like just diming the thing, and like would never even tube it. And so I think on his like 8th year of using it, he finally brought it in and like retubed it. But like we've never had an amp go down, I don't think, that I can remember, on the road especially.
Yeah.
Like, nobody's ever like, my amp broke,
Yeah.
like,
Dude,
never happened.
You told me a story one time. Maybe this was at Summer NAMM. I can't remember, but you told me a story about when you worked there. A guy had his amp stolen from his car. You got to tell that story.
Yeah, so I don't know how it all went down, but supposedly a guy got his stuff stolen out of the car, and I don't know if somebody saw the thief stealing the stuff, but the guy threw the amp over a bridge and it went into the water.
Was it a head or?
It was a head. It was an FDR 37 head. And it was orange, so, they're bright colored. And it must have been, obviously the guy's car got broken into, so it's somewhere by where he lived. Well, the guy was going down the road, and he saw the amp sticking out of the water. And he was like, oh my God, there's my amp. And so he went down, and he got the amp, and he called us, and he's like, hey, man, he's like, I'm sure this is a lost cause, but my amp's, been in the water, essentially, for a number of days. And, what do I do? And so Fred's like, okay, well, just get a hairdryer out and dry it off, and make sure that it's dry or whatever, and then just send it back, and I'll look at it or whatever. And so he does, and he packs it up and he sends it, and Fred and I were there, and we open it up, and Fred's like, wouldn't it be hilarious if this thing actually worked? And so I got out my phone, and I have the video on my phone somewhere, and he fires up the amp, plugs in the cord, and just rang. And I was like, this thing has been underwater for 3 freaking days. And it still works to this day. And so there's a guy in town named Greg Walton, who, if you don't know, he's a great guy to know, but he owns a company called Exact Tone Solutions.
Yeah, XTS.
Pedal boards. Yeah, exactly. It was his friend. So he corroborated this story like last year. He started telling me that story. I'm like, dude, that is so funny, because he said the exact same story.
Yeah.
And he actually kind of filled in some of the pieces of the story for me. I was like, what a trip.
Yeah,
I guess it was in Texas or something is what happened.
That's the thing, man. I cracked open my FTR 37 one time just to look at it on the inside, and they are built like tanks.
They're tanks.
It's like full on military grade everything. And the
everything.
Transformers are massive. The filter chokes are massive.
I worked there for 8 years, 6 years, 8 years, something like that. And he literally, like the Transformer guy was like, it might as well have been the president of the United States giving like classified orders. Like nobody could go out and see the Transformer. It was all Fred. He was like, I'll be back. And he would come back with these boxes and stuff. So I worked there for years and had no idea who did the Transformers. I just knew it was an old World War II guy that like Fred could say like, it needs more bass, and the guy would show up and it would be perfect.
That's so sick, man. I'm such a fan, man. I love everything about those amps and Fred and the whole company, because you go there and it's still basically just him.
Yeah,
and that's that shop in Newport Beach.
Yeah, and it's you know, if you're the original owner, you'll never find somebody with better. Like, it may be, you know, an interesting ride, but like, he stands by his amps 100%. If you're the original owner, it's a lifetime guarantee. So
I'm never getting rid of mine.
No.
I've got 2 now.
Yeah.
I hope to have more.
I know. I'm
like
ready.
I'd like a BTR.
I'm due for, I was talking about, he makes one called a 1020 that's pretty, it's like the little 37.
Yeah.
That's terrifying.
But
I never could have bought it back in the day because, like, again, it's one of those amps, they just turn on loud. And it's like, well, I can't use that.
So, turning the page a little bit.
All right.
Let's talk YouTube.
Yes.
You are like one of the OG guitar YouTube guys, you, Marty Schwartz.
Yep.
So, I'm fascinated by this. How did you get into it that early on? Because there's nobody else really before you that was doing
there really wasn't. So Marty, I remember he played my wedding. He had this great band called Plan B, and they were like they would do like, they didn't have they actually did have a singer that good, but they usually didn't have a singer, so they would do all instrumental versions of like everything from Radiohead to Zeppelin or whatever. And he played my wedding, and I remember him be like, man, I don't know what I'm going to do, but, you know, there's this thing called YouTube, and some people are filming down in my area and, you know, have talked about online guitar lessons or whatever. And I'm like, oh, cool, you know, whatever. And then I didn't hear from him for, you know, I don't know, probably 6 months or whatever. And then I remember I'm like, how's the YouTube thing going? And he just laughed. And I'm like, okay, that's a good sign, you know, like something must be happening. And so he just, it's perfect. I mean, he's a great teacher too, a great guitar player, great communicator, great personality. So he's like who you would want, you know. And he just did great. And then, but he never would do like metal or anything like that. And so growing up, we've known each other since 7th grade. We used to ride the bus together and the whole bit.
Yeah, right.
And so he's like, hey man, I need you to come down and start doing some metal or something. I'm like, okay. So he came to get the CJ11. The amp he uses in his video, that divided by 13, and that's when I had that giant mustache. And he's like, do not shave that thing off. And I was like, okay. And so my whole YouTube career started that way. I went down to show like some metal riffs and some hybrid picking. And he's like, I got a name for you. You're Papa Stash from now on. I'm like, okay. You know, and so that's how it all started. Yeah, and then he would have me come down and I'd teach like Maiden or Tesla or, you know, some hard rock band. And then, you know, I would just question him like, this seems cool, you know, like it's, and now you're doing well and you're making money. Like, this is a thing. And he's like, oh man, it's amazing. And so he literally mentored me for years, you know, and then we eventually had our own company together, and he's been great, man. I mean, like, if it would basically be like the equivalent of having, you know, Michael Jordan or somebody, you know, teach you basketball or whatever, you know, like, and he just was super gracious and like really supportive, and I owe everything to him. But that being said, he's like, man, you're the only person that ever really took me up on it too, you know? And so I think it was just kind of a perfect scenario of, you know, realizing that, you know, because I was in my 30s maybe, and like, you know, once you're in your 30s, it's like, you better have a plan B. Like, music can't be your thing forever, you know? And so I was like, man, maybe I could stay home and actually still do music because I love music, but like actually have a career.
Yeah.
And it's worked, man. I mean, just, it's totally been a thing.
That's interesting that you say that, like, because I have this thing that I always say on my channel, like, there is no plan B. And it comes from when I was starting out in music. My parents were at like some arts fair or whatever, and they bought this, it's this metal sign. It's like a strip of metal that somebody like hand cut with a plasma cutter, and it literally says there is no plan B on it. And that stuck with me because from an early age, you know, I struggled a lot in school growing up. I never did well. I kind of never had like a normal path laid out for me, right? I'm just not one of those people. I don't fit in that way. And so when I got into music, my whole thing was like, I have to make this work because there is no, I don't have a backup plan. I don't have something to fall back on. And it ended up working because everyone that I went to music school with or played with early on who had that sort of mentality of like, all right, well, I'll do music for a little while, and then if that doesn't work, I'll go, you know, use my communications degree or whatever. Right. Every one of those people have fallen out of music years ago. And so I see like what you're saying is also sort of falling under that umbrella of like, you still make a living in music. You still make a living with a guitar in your hand. Like every day.
Well, and it's amazing because, you know, to what you're saying, I was the same way at school. Like I was great at art, but that was it. You know,
Yeah.
like I was horrible, and I just had no interest in reading or anything to do with school. But once Marty, you know, showed me that kind of stuff, I mean, I literally, you know, I woke up, I had to be at Fred's at 6 a.m. in San Pedro, which was an hour drive for me. And then, you know, I wanted it so bad that I just had my first kid a couple years into it. And then, so I would go work from Fred from like, I don't know, 6 to 3, drive home, hang out with my kid until like 8. And then I would leave and record. I'd have to learn the song, record it and everything. So from like 9 to 1 or 2 in the morning for like 2 or 3 years solid. And, you know, I worked 7 days a week too. I had another job in health that I did too. And like, I wanted it so bad though. And, you know, I think that's really what it is. You have to want it bad. Yeah. You know, and you have to find like your thing, you know, like, because, you know, you could come up here in Nashville and like, the people who are successful, they want it more than anybody else, and they have a thing. You know what I mean? And so, I mean, like, your channel is amazing. I love your channel.
Thanks, man.
So you have like a thing, though. You know what I mean? You got your own look, your own style. You do the videos really good, and so, I think, you know, when you realize you want something that bad, you'll do whatever it takes to get it, and you know, it's working for all of us. You know.
I totally agree. Yeah. Like whatever it is that whatever your version of that is, whether it's like moving to Nashville and being a session player or like being a singer-songwriter or a YouTuber or whatever, the thing that you want, you will find a way to make it work. Yeah. You know? For sure. And I've noticed that too. I've got some friends now that are kind of coming and starting their YouTube channels and wanting to get into it. And I can kind of tell like who's got it and who doesn't. And what I mean by that is like, it has nothing to do with talent or skill set. It has everything to do with like, oh, this person is like posting 2 or 3 videos a week already without anyone having to tell them like, oh yeah, you should be posting more. And this person is like not doing really anything. They like the idea of having a YouTube channel, but when it comes to actually putting the rubber to the road, they're not really doing it. And to do something like this, or even a career in music, man, like you have to just wake up. Like when I started my channel 2 years ago, I kind of just decided one day, okay, I'm a YouTube creator now. This is what I do. When I had like 200 subscribers and I was getting like 30 views on a video, it's like, oh yeah, well, I make videos on YouTube now. And this
Look at me go.
Yeah, this is what I do. And I just kind of had to have faith that like you keep making the videos, you keep uploading, and eventually it'll happen. And I think anything is that way in a career, like especially a career like music where you essentially are your own entity in your own business, you know? Yeah,
you know, and it's you know, like I vividly remember seeing the first video I saw of yours or RJ or, you know, Rick or any of these people. I'm like, you can tell, like you're saying right off the bat, I'm like, this guy, Rhett, I know he's going to, I've told people, I'm like, this guy, watch this guy's videos because I know he's going to do it because you're doing it right. You know, there's thought, like even like the camera, you're walking in the door, you know, I mean, like all that stuff. It's like, you're really thinking about it and you're really trying to make it entertaining for people because at the end of the day, I don't think people think about that too. It's like, you're an entertainer, right? You're your own TV channel essentially. And like, you know, it's like anything else. If I'm watching TV, you know, if something doesn't captivate me in 30 seconds, I'm like, well, what's not, you know? So there has to be a charisma or something like that in it. But very much to what you're saying, I can tell within minutes. You know, and then the people that I know have it, I'll work with them. You know, I mean, that's, you know, Guthrie in town. He's like, you should just manage YouTube people, and you know, I'm just like, yeah, okay, maybe. You know, like I get it. It's fun. Like now that you know, I've done the thing with Tim Pierce and that whole bit. It is a fun thing. I mean, it's cool to see that people that really have talent that, you know, have a legitimate shot and have never thought about what we do. It's like, no, there's this thing and you can do it and I'll help, or, you know, I'll come and like with Tim, it's like, no, dude, you know, I remember when the whole Tim thing went down, I was still with Divided by 13 and I took an amp to him and I've been trying to get people to hook me up with him. And Fred's like, we'll back it up. So
we should explain the Tim thing. Yeah. The Tim thing is you are mostly responsible for Tim Pierce being on YouTube.
Other than the fact that he's
Yeah, right. But what I'm saying is you
Yeah.
were responsible for kind of like pushing him
Right.
into. He has a channel because of you, essentially.
Yeah.
So thank you.
No, please.
As someone, because I found Tim. I think I was with probably one of his first, I don't know, 10,000 subscribers. I want
Yeah.
to say I found him pretty early on.
Yeah.
And I remember I was playing at that time. I had, a couple years out of music school, and I just remember watching him and be like, "Oh my God, this guy does what I want to do.
Yeah.
He's my kind of player."
It's magic, dude. I mean,
Yeah.
it literally seems like it's magic. Like, I would always go to the music stores in LA, and I'm like, I would ask everybody there, "Who's your favorite player?" And all the time, they mentioned two guys: Val McCullum, who plays with Jackson Brown, who's a freaking beast if you've never seen him play, but and Tim Pierce. Everyone's like, "You got to see this guy, Tim Pierce." And I'm like, "Well, we make amps for Tim." So I remember at some point, Fred finally talked to him, and Tim's like, "Okay, I don't teach, but I'll give him one lesson or whatever." And so I dropped amps. I think it's like my third time to his house, and he finally was downstairs. And like when you walk in and so he was down there and then I was like, you know what, here's my shot. Like I've looked on scoured YouTube. There's only 5 videos of this guy. They're all horrible. It's
right.
And I was like, I'm just going to ask. And he was like, it's funny you mentioned that because I like YouTube and like I have thought about it. And I'm like, let me come up and just start, filming you. And so I told Marty about it. I'm like, Marty, you don't understand. There's this, and he didn't really know who Tim was. I'm like, you don't understand. People need to see this because this is like a hidden world that nobody's ever seen before, and it's like it will be something, And because I've always had that thing. It's funny, like you say it, like you can see it. Like I can always tell when people have something, whatever field they're in. There's just like maybe we have like the charisma picker upper or whatever, but like. I'm just like, this guy there's something about him that's really special. And so I remember the first time I went up and I filmed it, I'm like, this is magic. Like, you want to talk about improvising? This guy is doing it better than anybody I've ever seen because he's coming up with, somebody's plopping a chart in front of him of something he's never heard. And he makes the most beautiful, like, or, hard rock or like, he's played me all these different sessions that he's done. And it's like, this is his second take at doing this, Yeah. Like, and it's just on the fly. Everybody's seen his thing by now, but I'm like, man, what's this going to take? So I'm like, dude, I'll come up every week. People just need to know who you are. I don't need anything out of it. Let me just come up and maybe give me a guitar lesson now and again, right? Or whatever. And so I would just come up every week and we just filmed. And finally I'm like, we should come out with a course. Like we should really have you in your element. So, we started doing business together and we've got a number of courses or whatever, but like, it was just this thing, like, and you've seen it now, and I'm sure working, with Rick and all that other stuff. It's the session thing is something really special. And I don't want to make this sound bad or discourage anybody, but like it really is it's like the pinnacle of like, it's like a Formula One race car driver. There is very few people in the world that can really do it that well.
At the highest level. Yeah. And for as long as Tim has done it.
And he's just, and the great part is like, he's got this amazing career and he can go anywhere. Well, now people know who he is, but like, it's kind of a cool thing because these guys do all these hit records and all this other stuff, but they get to have their own private life too, which is like a really weird thing in the music industry,
Dude, Tim Pierce is my hero.
Yeah.
I look at NAMM, we were, at that pool. Every time I get to see Tim, and at this point, we talk on the phone and it feels weird, but I would count him like a friend of mine. But every time he comes around, I still get a little like that starstruck, like, oh my God, that's Tim Pierce.
I know.
That's Tim Pierce right there. Because I did a video with him last May at his house, and in the video, you can see it on his channel. He just brings up, he was like, yeah, so I played on the song Iris by the Goo Goo Dolls, and when I played the song, and I was like, wait a second, you were on Iris? He's like, yeah, I did the slide solo for that. And I wasn't even supposed to play on that song. I was supposed to just play the mandolin. And I had my rig, I had my whole electric rig brought in just in case. And I was like, dude, that was one of my favorite songs growing up as a kid. Yeah. And he's like, yeah, it's just like a one take thing. And I brought it up. And so it's when you learn more about him and what he's done in his career, and then to hear him talk about what he's doing now.
Yeah.
as much as he loves what he's doing now, it blows my mind. And that kind of leads into my next question for you. So you've been on YouTube as long as anybody. How do you think this platform, what do you think it's doing for the guitar community? And where do you kind of see it going in the next 5 or 10 years?
You know, it's interesting. Like, I think, you know, every time all of us get together, and stuff, you know, I constantly have that entrepreneurial kind of side to me. So like as a business owner and that, I think it's like the most untapped potential anybody can ever imagine, because, you know, YouTube's a very interesting vehicle because for the first time, really, you can advertise yourself or your band or whatever you're doing to a worldwide audience for free. Right. And if you're just a little bit, you know, have a spark of ingenuity to yourself, you can stand out in a crowd. And before, you know, if you're going to do music, there's no chance, you know, like there is gatekeeper after gatekeeper after gatekeeper. And then, you know, you have to fit into their agenda of what they're wanting, you know, whether you're the next Britney Spears or I don't even listen to music hardly anymore. So I don't know that many people that are new, but it's really an interesting time because I think, you know, people are like, oh, you can't do YouTube anymore. People, you know, there's so many people, and it's like, that's not true. Yeah. You know, there's billions of people watching YouTube, and there is a crowd for you somewhere. Right. If you just find a thing and can entertain people, because at the end of the day, it's entertainment. But that being said, you know, what I would like to see happen, and personally, I'm into songs and bands and stuff like that. So I would like to see it turn more. The only downside I would say is now it's almost like social media, period. It's become a me-centric thing where, you know, suddenly, you know, whoever it is, I'm a star now. And look at how many followers I have. And so it's like this me kind of thing where I would love to see it be just music. Yeah. You know what I mean? And people playing together and bands and that whole bit. So with the amount of people that people can bring to their site, it's really interesting. Like think of, you know, all of us sitting out at the pool. If you calculated the views and the audience that all of us had together, I mean, it's billions of views. Yeah. And millions of people that would listen to, you know, what you say, you know, or whatever. So I think when you think of things like that, like if, you know, some of us got together and were like, check out this band. Yeah. You know, essentially you can start a movement that would never have been possible before. Right. Suddenly all these people might know about this band that they would have never seen. And it's like, sweet, now there's a killer freaking band, you know? Right. So there's a lot of potential in that area, I think, you know? And there's, you know, just YouTube in general is fascinating because like we're living proof. You can stay at home or do whatever it is that you do. And if you're diligent and disciplined, you can make a living from home, which is amazing. So I don't see anything but upside. I completely agree with that. Yeah. Again, I'm pretty new to this game. Yeah. I watched Rick, you know, from the beginning and the success that he's had. And then I've been doing this now for, I guess, like right at 24 months. I agree with Which is crazy, dude. That's, I mean, you've come a long way in a short amount of time, which is amazing. I mean, Thank you. Yeah. When you're this close to it, it feels, it's like the everyday kind of slog, you know? It doesn't feel like it's been that short. Yeah. But the thing, I agree with you on the social media side of it. And I've dealt with that a little bit. So the thing that I'm trying to push for more this year is focusing more on getting other people on the channel. And like, because there are things that I want to talk about and do on my channel, but I'm not like an authority in everything. Well, you are now to a lot of people. Right. But that to me, that's scary. Yeah. Like the fact that there's that many people that think I know, and you know, I'm pretty good about only talking about the stuff on my channel that I'm confident in saying, right? I don't go out and just spread a bunch of. Well, okay. But, you know, I think here's the interesting point about that is, anybody that we look at as an authority was you at one time, you know what? And had a limited skill set, but they kept, like what you're saying, you know, interfaced with other people, and you're constantly learning. So and this happens in Nashville all the time. Like when I talk to people about YouTube, like, that's not cool. And I'm like, yeah, it is to everybody outside of Nashville.
Right.
You know what I mean? Nobody, you guys are in this bubble of insanity of like the best players in the world. So yeah, you're kind of, you take things for granted.
Right.
But the average guy will watch your channel. I mean, I was sitting at Kenny Greenberg's house, who is one of the best, he's played on everything.
Yeah.
And he is the guy, the top 3 or 4 guys in all of Nashville. And he's like, man, have you seen this guy, Rhett? And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, man, his channel's great. Like, you know what I mean? And so it's while you may not feel like an authority, because I think as musicians or creators or whatever, we always have that. Like,
yeah, imposter syndrome.
Yeah. You are, you know what I mean? And you know what good sound is. You know what good playing is. You've been in situations in the studio, whether it's Rick or all these bands that you're with, you have real world experience. Yeah. And so to 90% of the world, you are an expert.
Well, the thing is, and I would like to see more people on YouTube, and this is the great thing about YouTube, but the ethos for me behind the videos that I make is I make videos that I wish I could have watched when I was like 13, 14 years old and just getting into guitar.
Yeah.
Because the way I got into music, nobody in my family's musical. I don't have any musicians, nothing. When I found guitar, it was like completely uncharted territory. And it was before YouTube.
Yeah.
And I didn't know anything. I mean, the first year of playing, I had a Strat, like a Squire Strat.
Yeah.
And the entire first year, I didn't know what the pickup selector did. I knew that it changed the sound somehow, but I didn't know what it was doing.
Yeah.
And recently I met a son and his dad at this event at Righteous Guitars in Atlanta. And kid was my age. He was like 12, 13 years old getting into playing. I asked him like, what guitar is he playing? Yeah. And he starts rattling the stuff off. And he's like, well, I've got a Squire Strat, but we swapped the pickups. I went with some Seymour Duncans. And, this is what I've got on my pedal board. And I have a Boss Katana amp right now, but I'm trying to get a 50-watt Marshall this year. And I'm like, dude, you are so far ahead of where I was at your age.
Yeah.
It's scary,
It's a trip.
And so that's kind of the power of this platform. And so there's a lot of responsibility in it if you're gonna be on here and like sharing your perspective.
No, I completely agree. I mean it is.
That's why I want to get people like you on and Kenny Greenberg. That's one of the
amazing.
things when we're up here in town, I'm gonna try and go do some stuff with him, because he's like Tim Pierce. He's one of those players that as a guitar player I look up to. Like those respect your elders. Like those are the dudes that have been doing this professionally longer than I've been living on this earth. There's so much wisdom and knowledge there that I want to be able to use my platform, my channel, to kind of unlock for people and share. No,
I mean, they are. I mean, in any of those guys, there's so much real world experience. Like especially with Kenny, it's like he's got #1 albums as a producer. He plays in arguably probably one of the biggest bands in the world. I mean, he plays with Kenny Chesney as a guitar player, which is insane. Like we went to one of his rehearsals, and it was like a freaking airplane hangar, and like they have the ground with tape, like how big the stage is. And I'm like looking at it, I'm like, this is freaking insane.
Right.
Like, and there's Kenny Chesney like telling everybody what to do, and it was just like, this is real. I mean, it's like when you see like, and I've had a few of those experiences, but you don't realize like what a undertaking it is, and it's just like, wow. And then, he's taking me to sessions and you see him and it's just like, my God, like, and here they track live, I mean, I'm sure you know that, but like, in LA, they don't do that much. And it's like, you see these 5 guys in this room and it literally is like magic.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just like, how are they doing this,
Right.
And it's amazing, man. So yeah, I mean, when talking to those guys, and Kenny's the same way Tim is. They won't tell you who they've played for or done or whatever. And it's like you look and you're like, dude, if you turn on country radio today, and this is just a small part of what Kenny does, but if you turn on country radio, every other song, I'm not even kidding, he's probably playing guitar.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Or Derek or Rob or Tom Bukovac or any of these guys. Like the last video I did with Derek, he's like, Derek Wells is another session guy. it was teaching how to play the 50th number one that he played on. And it was just like 50 freaking number ones. And it was weird because it was like I think his brother-in-law wrote the song.
Right.
You know, and he produced it. It was his first time producing something.
Yeah.
So it was like this first time producing, your brother-in-law wrote the song, and it's your 50th, crack at it. And it just was like, wow, what a trip.
And that genre in particular, in terms of just guitar, like country really is where it's kind of, at this point, the only, I won't say last, because I don't believe this whole narrative of like, oh, guitar's dead and all this stuff.
Either.
I don't buy into that at all. But for now, it is one of the only popular genres of music where guitar is the center and the focus. And so these guys, Kenny, Tom Bukovac, all these guys are kind of responsible. They're like the guitar heroes of today, because people are hearing this stuff. Millions of people all over the world, possibly billions of people, are hearing these solos and these parts and everything. But it's not like Clapton or Hendrix where you have the persona to go along with it. It's like these guys are all just behind the scenes.
Yeah, nobody knows.
Like just rolling into a session at 10 a.m. and knocking out the next number one.
Well, and that was my whole thought with Tim, in the beginning too, is like, people need to know who this guy is. Yeah. Like, it's just not fair. Like, he is responsible for so much music that you hear, or Kenny or Rob or any of these guys. It's like, when you have a soundtrack to your life, these are the guys who made the parts that make it sound good. Yeah. You know what I mean? And it's like, so you're growing up on this song. Like, every time I hear Runaway, and it's on my workout playlist, I just crack up because it's like, there's Tim, and it's just like I'm on the treadmill, and I still, like, every time I hear that guitar solo too, I'm just like, God, Tim's the freaking man. Like,
I know, man.
And it's just, it's really like, these guys deserve much more of the credit. I mean, or the original Wrecking Crew, or you see the things they did with like the Beach Boys, and it's like, Jesus, these guys, there's an orchestra in the freaking room. Yeah. And this is their second take. Like, pet sounds and these, it's just like,
oh yeah, well,
really?
Yeah, Carol Kay is a great example of that. Like, nobody, I feel like until the last like 5 or 6 years, when all those documentaries on Netflix started to come out, like, nobody really knew who Carol Kay was, and she was like
on everything.
She was the queen of those bass parts and all that stuff.
All of it, which is crazy. I mean, you see all the stars today, the pop stars or whatever, and it's just like, okay, but no. You know what I mean? Like, there's, the one thing I will say new, and this is the other thing that I want to do really bad, is I want it to go, technology is great, and it's an amazing thing, and it's very good for streamlining things, but I want it to go back the other way. Because these people, they had to be on their game. Yep. Because you're playing to tape, and like, only so many times you can go back to tape. Not only that, you're going to have like 20 pissed off people looking at you if you don't do the right tape.
A&R reps and producers, It's
just looking at their watch like, okay, well, you're out. You know what I mean? But not that that's the ideal situation for anybody to be in, but it gave people much more discipline and personal ownership of their craft, because you had to do it right. Yeah. There was no 50th take on Pro Tools. And there's no auto-tune. Like, I listen to Journey. My kids love Journey. And so, I watched that and I'm like, this band, whether you like them or not, they recorded those songs live in the studio, playing as a band. So that's what they sound like as a band. Right. Is there anybody you can think of today in a band scenario that can do that?
Gary Clark Jr.
Yeah.
And I know that because Eric Zapata, his guitar player, is a friend of mine, and we went on tour with them. Yep. And what you hear on the record is what you hear live.
Yeah, totally.
But in terms of like top 40 pop,
and that's what I mean, like that kind of, maybe Mayer. You know what I mean?
Maybe,
he's great. Like,
of
he's
course.
One of those people I can think of like, okay, that's real talent. Like, he can sing, he can write, he can play. His band's freaking insane. Like, they could probably do it.
David Ryan Harris.
Okay, I don't know who that is.
He plays guitar with Mayer, and he's also like, he's like, a lot of people don't know, but David is like the dude behind at least a lot of my favorite Mayer songs. Yeah, they're DRH songs. He's an Atlanta guy. So
nice.
But
what's up with Atlanta? You guys got a lot of good freaking peeps down there.
Here's the thing about Atlanta. It is one of the greatest cities in the United States. Like, culturally,
don't tell anybody.
Our food scene, seriously, it is like an undiscovered.
Yeah.
In fact, like Tilly and I have decided to stay in Atlanta against moving to Nashville because it's like, dude, it's just a cooler city. Like in terms of an actual place to live, it's amazing. And the music that has come out of the state of Georgia over the last 60, 75 years.
Incredible.
I mean, there's something to the Deep South in general, you know, musical talent wise. But yeah, in the late 80s through the early 2000s, Atlanta was a massive rock scene.
Really?
Like huge rock town. And I would like to see that come back.
Yeah.
But yeah, dude, there's a thing.
Steer the ship, dude. Steer it that way.
I would like to. And actually, you know what? It's funny what you were just talking about the live tracking a band. I feel like you and I are on the same page on this. And I haven't really mentioned this publicly, but like I have an idea for a video series that I want to do. And it would be a huge undertaking. I'd have to get like, I don't know, Netflix or Amazon to sponsor it or whatever.
Yeah.
But I want to make a series where you go to a fully analog studio.
Yeah.
No Pro Tools, no DAW.
This is funny.
Console
Yep.
to a tape machine, 24 track. And you get some acts of today, some popular acts.
Yeah.
Whoever. Billie Eilish, you know, whoever would do it.
Yeah.
And you bring them in the studio. You're like, all right, cut a song.
Yeah.
Like write something and cut it.
Yeah.
The old school way.
Yeah.
Like, you know, do it like the Beatles did, or the Stones, you know, and just to kind of, it's not like a competition or anything, but it's like just a documentary kind of look into how music is made when you are forced, when you give it set guidelines.
Yeah.
Right. Because the great thing about computers and DAWs and things like Ableton Live is it gives you the ability to do things that were never possible before and unlock new avenues of creativity. I'm not anti-technology in that way.
Yeah.
But it has also, like we were talking about, it has taken the need for mastery of your instrument or mastery of your craft. It's kind of taken it away because you can just fix it.
Yeah.
You know,
No,
so
absolutely.
I would like to drop people into an analog studio and just see what they come up with.
I've got a show in the works that's same idea, but I'm going to give them 3 takes. You know, no edits, and film it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then it's like, this is, and it's again, it's not a competition, and it's not I'm better than you, but this is my favorite example, real world. My cousin, his name's Matt Hoffman. He's like a world champion freestyle bike rider.
Yeah.
And so what I love about that sport is there is no second chance.
Yeah.
You either do it or you crash.
Right.
Right. Or you watch the Rampage series. You know, they're like flying down this freaking path that's like a foot wide.
The Red Bull Rampage.
Yeah.
Stuff,
doing
dude.
like backflips over 70-foot gaps or whatever. You know, when I first moved to Oklahoma to teach guitar, that's where I started teaching guitar initially. I practiced it at my cousin's, his ramp warehouse. And so we would literally practice on top of the half pipe. And so his band, he's like coming doing these freaking like 900s in front of us while we're playing, right? And
that's
like,
rad, by the way.
It was
like,
super
that's
cool.
such a cool image.
No, it was freaking awesome. You know, so on a Friday night, everybody drinking beer and it's like doing backflips and all this crazy stuff. But you watch all these guys ride and it's this like tribe of, they're like warriors, you know what I mean? And it's just like, there's no messing around. And like, I remember he's like, I got this idea. I'm going to build a 22-foot quarter pipe. And then I'm going to get my buddy to pull me on my motorcycle with a water ski rope. And I'm going to hit the ramp and see how high. I'm just like listening to him like, are you for real? Like really, you're going to do this?
That's insane.
And he did it, right? And it's just like you see him and it's like hitting this half pipe or quarter pipe then that's 22 feet. He's getting like 25 feet out of the thing. So it's like you're freaking 40 feet in the air doing these tricks, but it's total commitment.
Yeah.
And that's what I think is lacking in today's, especially younger generations. I'm not knocking the younger generations because it's almost overstimulation. There's so much that you can look at, whether it's gear or different videos on the internet or whatever, that you don't focus on the task at hand. And I think if I were to give the younger generation or even, you know, students that I run into, focus on one thing. Yeah. Like get good at one thing and then move on. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because if you get too distracted, and I'm guilty of this myself, you know, time goes by so fast.
Oh yeah.
And if you're not focused, there's some other dude down the street. Like if you want to do music, don't freaking waste time, because there's some dude down the street, whether it's like a Pete Thorne or there's somebody down there that is like nose to the grindstone, and it is life or death to them. You know what I mean? And so those are the guys, you know, working through Fred's, I've met hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of professional musicians. They are the ones that make it.
Yeah.
And the other caveat to that is don't ever get too big for your britches, because Avril's MD came in one time and he's like, being good is really important, but it's 70% hang.
Oh yeah.
And they're like, you're married to somebody on the road for a year and a half, and if you're not cool and you think that you're better than other people, you're not going to get a gig. So stay humble and work really hard. Yeah. You know, and that's I think what it really will get you somewhere, if that's what you want to do, you know.
I completely agree. That's been my experience as well. Yeah. And I just had Rod Castro on the podcast. He plays for Beyonce and BB Rexa and TLC.
A couple small gigs.
Yeah, small comers, you know.
Slouch.
Yeah. And we talked about that for like half of our conversation, was how important the relationship side of this is. Not, you know, he said, get the whole idea of networking completely out of your head. Yeah. Because that's not what it's about. It's about building actual relationships and friendships with people. Right. And being prepared when that opportunity does present itself. You have put the time in to your craft to really undersell, over deliver. But it's all about that relationship and being a good hang and being personable and all that stuff.
Yeah. And, you know, when you're cool, the people that maybe in the gigs that you want, they'll recommend you. Yeah. You know, because they have the confidence, like, this guy's not going to, like, because, you know, if there's one thing I've seen, is people are very guarded on recommending people because it's their reputation on the line too. You know what I mean? And so if there's been definitely one thing that's helped me and my thing, even working with other people, is, you know, the people that I've worked with will be like, oh yeah, do it. You know, like there's been some people in town and, you know, they've called other people like, who is this dude? You know, because, you know, people don't know who I am, but, and they'll say, yeah, no, for sure, do it, you know? And so it really does help, you know. I mean, attitude is so much. I mean, it gets your foot in the door quicker than anything else. Yeah, I would say.
Well, dude, Brett.
Yes.
Thanks for coming on, man. It's been awesome.
No, man, I'm freaking stoked. You're a light in a shining YouTube world.
Thanks, man. Thank you.
All right.
Awesome. So there you go. That was my chat with Papa Stash. What a cool guy. I really love spending time with him. We caught up at Winter NAMM this past, a couple weeks ago. And we had been acquaintances and stuff before that, but NAMM is great for that, where you just get together with somebody, and it's like the one time a year that you get to see people who do what you do, and, you know, maybe you don't get to talk to them or see them very often. And then it forms new friendships, new relationships, like this one with Rhett. And now pretty much every time I go to Nashville, time permitting, I will be hanging out with Brett. We kicked around this idea of doing some kind of sit-down talk show with one another, the Brett and Rhett show. Basically, the whole premise is he and I sit down and drink expensive bourbon and just talk about a bunch of stuff. Maybe not even music related. Maybe we just take on world politics or something. But we just like the idea of the Brett and Rhett show. Brett and Rhett drink whiskey and talk problems, solve the world's problems. I don't know. We'll workshop that name. If you have any suggestions, maybe put it out there as, like, I don't know, we can get a hashtag going, hashtag Brett and Rhett show. Might be kind of fun. So yeah, follow Brett on Instagram and YouTube and all that kind of stuff under Papa Stash. He's the man. He's doing some really cool stuff in Nashville, and this probably won't be the last time he's on the podcast. So let's move on to one of my favorite parts of the entire podcast, and that is the listener-submitted original song. So this is something that we do every week here. Basically, you, the listener, can submit one of your original songs to be played and featured here at the end of the episode. The way you do that is submit your song in email form to backstagejournalpod@gmail.com. There's no rules. Man, if it's just you sitting in front of your phone making a voice memo with an acoustic guitar and singing, that's cool. Or if you went to a full-on studio and made a record and you want to submit your new single, that's cool too. And anything in between. The point here is to feature original music and artistry by you guys, the listener. This is sponsored by DistroKid specifically. Again, DistroKid is the service that allows you to upload your original music to all of the streaming services. That's Apple Music, Spotify, Pandora, possibly YouTube Music. I actually need to check up on exactly everywhere that they upload to. And they've got a bunch of really cool features, like the song split feature that allows you to easily split royalties between everyone involved in the songwriting process so that you don't have to worry about that. Because, you know, that can get kind of messy. You start, you know, worrying about percentage points and who gets how much money and all that kind of stuff. So they take care of all that for you. And it's just a flat yearly rate starting at $19.99 a year. And I actually have a discount code. If you use the URL distrokid.com/VIP/Rhett, you'll get 7% off of your first year's membership. Again, that's distrokid.com/VIP/Rhett. Again, thanks to DistroKid for sponsoring this week's episode of the listener-submitted original songs. So all you have to do is submit one of your tracks to backstagejournalpod@gmail.com and include a little write-up about the song. Tell me how you wrote it, why you wrote it, what you used to record it with. I want to know a little bit of background. This week's submission is from Lars Ing Torp. He says, I'm a Norwegian drummer, and even as a drummer, I've become a bit of a guitar nerd through your videos and podcasts, so good job. That's awesome, man. Thank you. I'm crossing musical boundaries here, apparently. Anyways, here's an original song from my band Major Leap. Would be cool if you checked it out. It was recorded in a great studio in southern Norway called Cedarburg Studios. You should check it out if you ever find yourself in Norway. Actually will. I would love to find myself in Norway sometimes. And it's about the ups and downs one encounters on the journey to fulfilling one's goals and dreams in this brutal industry. And as for us, that dream is obviously bringing this song to a stadium show. Would mean a lot if you took a listen. Keep up the good work. Well, now all of you here on the podcast are going to hear the song Stadium Portrait by Major Leap. Thanks, everyone, for listening. If you haven't done so already, be sure to subscribe here to the Backstage Journal podcast. You can find it everywhere fine podcasts are downloaded. And yeah, I will see you guys here, same time, same place next week. Thanks, everyone.
This is a time of arrival. Stone by stone we contrive to find the ultimate key to survival. This is our favorite portrait. This is our stadium portrait. This is what we see and see. Touching the untainable, haunted grounds, supposed to be out.